follows Tessa Young, a dedicated student, dutiful daughter, and devoted girlfriend to her high school sweetheart as she begins her freshman year of college. Tessa Young, a fresh-faced high school graduate, is looking forward to her first day at Washington Central University. Tessa moves into her new dorm room with the assistance of her mother, Carol, and boyfriend Noah. She is greeted by two girls. Steph Jones, Tessa's roommate, and her girlfriend, Tristan, hug themselves. Carol is initially put off by Steph's casual vaping and Tristan's enthusiasm for getting Tessa into the best parties with a fake ID. Tessa follows her mother out of the room, assuring her that everything will be fine and that she should trust her because she is a good student who understands the value of education. Carol makes the decision, and Tessa bids her mother and Noah farewell. Tessa returns to her dorm, where she meets Steph, who compliments her on her extensive book collection. Tessa settles into her dorm by spending the night there alone. She tells Noah about her excitement for her first class in a text message. Landon Gibson, a fellow early class attendee who shares her interests, meets her in that class. They quickly become fast friends because of his kind nature. Tessa takes a shower in her dorm later that day. When she gets out, she notices that her clothes have been soaked by the rain. In her towel, she enters her room and opens the closet door. A tattooed boy reading on her bed starts her off, and she nervously informs him that he is in the wrong room. He dismisses her claims and displays the keys to her dorm room. She requests that he leave so she can dress, but he tells her not to flatter herself because he is not looking at her. When Steph arrives, she informs Tessa that the boy isn't her boyfriend, but rather a friend, and that she hopes he didn't make her feel awkward. The boy repeats that he has been minding his own business. Steph quickly invites Tessa to the party that night, but despite the boy's sarcastic remarks about her not being the party type, she declines. When he returns the book he borrowed, he mysteriously tells her that he hates to ruin the ending of The Great Gatsby, but it was all a dream. She corrects him, stating that it was all a lie. Despite Hardin's glances, Tessa concentrates on her studies as they appear to meet in public places such as a coffee shop near campus. Steph is studying in the library when she finally convinces Tessa to accompany her to another party, this time at a fraternity house on campus. The girls bond as Steph helps Tessa choose an outfit for the party, even though the red dress does not suit her. But they agree to compromise. Tessa sits with Tristan and Steph, where she meets the rest of their group, including Hardin Scott, the boy she met in her dorm room days before. The rest of the group is made up of Jace, the group's oldest member who encourages Tessa to drink, Zed, whose eagerness is initially off-putting, and Molly, whose protective stance with Hardin causes instant friction between the two girls. The group plays a game of truth or dare in which Tessa is dared to kiss Hardin, but she refuses, claiming that she is over the stupid game. She abruptly departs, eliciting surprised whispers from Hardin's circle of friends, who claim this is Hardin's first rejection. She walks through the house and into a room where she admires a book collection. When Hardin enters and declares that this is his room, she is taken aback. They share a moment where their hands linger and they appear to be connected. When Tessa returns to her dorm, she reads messages from Noah and her mother, who is upset that Tessa went to a party. Tessa goes to English class the next morning and gets into an argument with Hardin about their differing perspectives on Pride and Prejudice. Professor Soto, who is pleased with their zeal, intervenes. Tessa complains to Landon about the Brit after class, even mocking his accent. Landon tries to keep the peace, but warns her about Hardin's games. Hardin pays her a visit at the coffee shop the next morning, but she believes it would be best if he approached her in a coffee shop. He wants to take her somewhere special, but she isn't interested. He persuades her, and she gives up. He takes her to a lake in the woods, explaining that it is his secret spot. Tessa is hesitant to swim without a bathing suit, so he lets her wear his t-shirt, though she makes him turn around in the water so she can change. He assists her in entering the lake, and they have a good time before having a meaningful conversation about life and what they like. She inquires as to whom he adores the most in the world. Tessa rolls her eyes as he quickly responds. Before kissing in the water, they flirt and exchange longing glances. They have a sensual encounter on land, but it suddenly ends. They go to a diner and order casual food to continue getting to know one another. They get along fairly well, with her stealing his fries despite having plenty of her own, which Hardin finds funny. Despite his resistance, she persists in her efforts to get to know him. Molly and Zed come in and interrupt them. Despite Hardin's annoyance, Molly approaches him and plays with him. He hands Tessa the keys and instructs her to wait in the car. She is irritated, but she leaves to stand by the counter so the three of them can talk. She observes their heated exchange before he joins her. He maintained a cool while telling her that although the day was enjoyable, he didn't date. This disgusts her, and she shoves the keys at him before leaving the diner. Tessa returns to an empty dorm room, where she still dreams about Hardin asking her what she's dreaming about. Despite her annoyance, she wakes up to a message from Noah inviting her outside, and she is surprised to see her boyfriend waiting for her outside with a bouquet of flowers. They exchange hugs and spend the day together. They went to a bonfire on the outskirts of campus with Hardin and his group of friends. The group starts another game, this time passing a card back and forth using only their lips. When it's Tessa's turn, she tries to take the card from Jace, who purposefully blows it in her face. When Noah notices Tessa's discomfort, he tells him to stop. He continues to push Tessa away with her hand. Hardin sprints across the circle and punches Jace before another second passes. They wrestle on the ground, exchanging blows, until the other guys drag Jace off Hardin. Tessa looks at him in shock. The couple goes back to their dorms and watches a movie, during which Noah falls asleep. Landon texts her, asking her to come over and assist him with Hardin. She agrees and bikes there, only to discover that Landon is Hardin's soon-to-be stepbrother. She is also discouraged by the kitchen's shambles of broken plates, glasses, and vases. Landon apologizes for inviting her because he thought she might be able to calm him down since she was the cause of his distress. She walks outside to the pool, where Hardin is drinking from a bottle. Tessa retorts angrily that she thought he didn't drink, to which he responds that it's a special occasion, his father's wedding. He even casually drops his glass to emphasize how upset he is. She is irritated by his actions and attempts to clean up the glass despite his insistence that she not do so. He takes her inside and assists her in cleaning her minor cut on the glass. He apologizes for his earlier actions and admits that he's a shambles. She reciprocates the sentiment, and they exchange another kiss before falling asleep together. She awoke the next morning and ran back to the dorms, where Noah confronted her about her late-night excursion. Hardin appears behind her, and Noah pieces together what happened before leaving, despite Tessa's pleas. This triggered Tessa's breakup with Noah and caused a schism between her and Hardin. Steph consoled her throughout the day as she attended classes and ignored messages from her mother and Hardin. She returns to her studies and attempts to reconnect with Steph. She eventually caves and pays a visit to Hardin's fraternity house. Much to his surprise, she admits to him that after her father died, Noah was there for her and they became close. He's her best friend, but she feels different being with Hardin than she did with Noah. The couple kisses and begins a committed relationship full of cute moments, secret readings in the library while fleeing the security guard, and surprise kisses in class. Molly and Zed, who seem unusually interested in their relationship, observe it from a distance. She notices Hardin watching her and writing in his journal while they are studying in her dorm. She asks what he's always writing, but his evasive response tempts her to grab the journal before they kiss. Carol, Tessa's mother, pays them a surprise visit and is disgusted by the sight. She demands that Tessa end their relationship so she can return to her studies, but Tessa refuses. Tessa spends the day with Landon, who warns her that Hardin can be dangerous and that she should proceed with caution. Despite Landon's warnings that Hardin is always up to something, she insists he's different around her. He agrees to allow her to make her own decisions. Tessa then met Hardin, who surprised her by taking her to an apartment. He initially claimed the apartment belonged to his father's friend, but later admitted that he wanted them to live together. Tessa was initially hesitant, but accepted his offer. This kicks off their seemingly perfect dating life, complete with picnics, laughter, kisses, and a trip to the aquarium where she claims nothing can ever change her feelings for him. Hardin's friends, particularly Molly and Zed, are suspicious of the couple's public displays of affection. Tessa accepts Hardin's invitation to his father's engagement party, which she gladly accepts. Landon greets them, polite and excited to be Hardin's stepbrother, who responds coldly to the boy. Hardin tells her about his traumatic childhood and an incident that happened to his mother during the reception near the pool. Despite the tension between Hardin and his father, Ken Scott, they shared a dance and had a good night. They ended their relationship when they returned home. Their joy continues as they take a bath together, with her attempting to guess the words he traces on her back. She utterly fails the game, but she insists on another chance. Hardin traces the words "I love you" on her back this time, but she still fails. He kisses her instead of telling her what he traced. Molly confronted Tessa in the bathroom of Washington Central University a few days later. The confrontation was awkward from the start because the girls' tension was palpable. Molly pretends to be concerned about the freshman's well-being, then slyly warns Tessa that Hardin is up to something. She mentions her relationship with Hardin and how relaxed Tessa is about it. She tells her to keep an eye on her back. She leaves a few moments later, much to Tessa's surprise at the seemingly random event. Tessa was attempting to read one night when Hardin's phone continued to ring with messages from someone. She picks up to silence the chime when she discovers a slew of messages from Molly wanting to meet with him and discuss something. Tessa is jealous and concerned, so she confronts Hardin about the messages. He brushes her off and starts walking away when she stops him and asks him to explain. He pauses, then asks if she trusts him, to which she responds that she does, so he doesn't see the problem. He abruptly departs, leaving her perplexed and annoyed. She waited hours for him to return before taking matters into her own hands. Jace responds to her message by saying that if she comes to the Videodrome, he'll tell her where Hardin is. Despite the pouring rain and lack of a car, she decides to go. Against her better judgment, she meets Jace in his car. Tessa locates Hardin at a diner with his friends Molly, Zed, and Steph thanks to him. Molly notices Tessa enter the diner and begins to play with her. Tessa refuses to play Molly's games as Hardin arrives at the table. Tessa demands that Hardin explain what is going on between him and Molly, to which Molly responds that something is going on, but not in the way Tessa believes. Hardin orders Molly to stop talking, but she ignores him and asks if Tessa remembers truth or dare. Molly ignores Zed's attempts to silence her. She shows Tessa video of Hardin betting on the night of the truth and dare game. He sensed his friend's mocking manners after she rejected Hardin and bet that he could make Tessa fall in love with him. He'd then lose his charm and loving demeanor in order to break her heart. Tessa asked the emotional Hardin if it was true. His silence provided the necessary confirmation. She turns to look at Steph, Zed, and Molly, realizing they all knew but didn't tell her. Steph turns away from Tessa. Hardin attempts to speak to her, but she refuses to listen and exits the diner. He follows her outside, pleading with her to listen because he has everything explained. Her entire relationship was a lie, she realizes. Hardin attempts to object, but Tessa questions whether it was all a game. He starts to tell her that the game was all before, but she cuts him off, saying that it was all before he snapped his fingers and turned everything off. She thought he cared about her and that their relationship was meaningful, but he's a liar. He pauses for a moment before recalling what she said at the aquarium about nothing changing her feelings for him. She swallows forcefully. She assumes they're both liars and abandons him in the rain. She returns to her childhood home by bus. Tessa uses her free time to repair her relationship with her mother. They hug and apologize to each other. She didn't tell Carol about the bet, only that things didn't work out with Hardin. Carol expressed sympathy and suggested that Tessa attempt to repair the relationship with Noah, who is still at soccer practice. Tessa agrees and pays Noah a visit after practice. She apologizes for ever hurting him and for how everything went down. He apologizes, explaining that he's been dating someone else and that he and Tessa never worked out. They start talking about other things, laughing, and relaxing. Her friendship with Steph does not rekindle when she returns to WCU and moves back into the dorms. Tessa applies for an internship at Vance Publishing, and after being accepted, she attends an interview. During the weeks she is separated from Hardin, she focuses on her studies and attends class. Tessa finishes her English class with Professor Soto, which Hardin is obviously missing. As Tessa and Landon prepare to leave the classroom, Soto pulls Tessa aside. She explains that Hardin turned in his final essay, but she believes it was intended for Tessa rather than her. She hands her the envelope, which Tessa thanks her for, and walks away. Tessa and Landon are sitting on the campus lawn now that class is over. She opens the packet and notices a photograph of a lake and a portrait of herself. He inquires about the lake's significance, but she simply states that it is a special place. She reads the letter, which is a letter from Hardin confessing his feelings for her. He says she once asked him who he loves the most in the world, and he now knows it's her. Tessa arrives and sits next to Hardin at the end of the dock by the lake. She turns to face him, and he returns her gaze. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this and turn on the notification. Thank you for watching.